I don't know why. Like now, there's looks a little bit faded. Guess the lighting here looks a little faded. Anyway, yeah. This is a Kal Kat. Kal Kat's certain. This is a review of No Time to Die, the brand new James Bond movie that was held back a year and a half because of the COVID. Yeah. So discuss the James Bond movies. Over 50 years of James Bond movies. So I'm going all other ones. I did a reviews of some of the other ones. Certainly the last one. But yeah, this is No Time to Die. Daniel Craig's fourth or fifth, I think. They've been changing them over the years. They Moore and Connery and Lazenby did one, and Brosnan. Some other people did them too. Yeah, a bunch of people did them. So, yeah, the other guy, Living Daylights guy. That was not Brosnan. That was the other guy. Anyway, yeah, yeah. I'm not going to read all the list of all the different James Bonds. There was some early trailer controversy with this movie a year ago, that they made it look woke. It freaked out the right-winger people who don't really watch James Bond movies, but it freaked them out anyway. Clearly they don't, because if they did, wasn't woke. Even the Critical Drinker reviewer reviewed this movie last week, and he saw it in England, and he's all like, well, this is he kind of liked it. Yeah, so there's been so over the past 50 years, there's been a bunch of these James Bond movies. Yes, James Bond movie. So there's been a bunch of different James Bond. Though Timothy Dalton was that one guy I was thinking of. Timothy Dalton played him twice, and that was a similar one to this one. And that second Timothy Dalton movie. Yeah, yeah. There have been a few James Bond movies that have addressed the other Bonds. And about 20 years ago, with the Jung Swan thing, 20 years ago, there was another James Bond fan who was one of the black belts, and he thought of this one idea. His name was Morgan. He thought of this one idea where he was all like, maybe they'd have different James Bonds. This is like 20 years ago. Maybe they have different James Bonds, and each one is like a code name, and there's like a clone vat, and there's a bunch of different ones, and they're in the clones. It's probably not clones. That's kind of interesting. They never did that. But the idea is that, yes, it's a code name, and that they can replace the James Bond at any point, and someone else's James Bond. So if we get that, we don't need to have it explained how they replace them. The newer ones during the Brosnan era, I think, that they started that, GoldenEye, and some of those other ones, they were like, okay, well, clearly this isn't the guy from the previous, this isn't Moore or the other guy, it isn't Connery. Although with one of those movies, Never Say Never Again, they brought back Connery as an older James Bond. So they did establish over 20 years ago that there was an episode where it was just a previous Bond. And they wanted to tie it in with I believe the 40th anniversary, which was the second Daniel Craig movie. 10 years ago, and they wanted to tie it in, and they wanted to get Sean Connery back, because he was the first Bond, to play the old guy in the cabin when he goes to the cabin in Skyfall. And they couldn't get, he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to come out of retirement and do it. He really should have, because that would have tied it in. They would have said, like, okay, Bond is going on to the black belt years ago. It's a code name, and there's several of them. There's been several of them. It's a code name, and 007, the License to Kill, is a code name. So there can be several of them. Although Ian Fleming's original concept books, of which the movies kind of switched some of them around. And the Daniel Craig ones were kind of a reboot of the whole thing. Loosely connected. Yeah, so, yeah, but of those, the books, Ian Fleming writing about these, I think he wrote about these in the 40s and 50s, had no intention of there ever being a massive movie franchise made of his books. When they first started the movies, late in his later on in the 60s. It was like, well, that's cool, but I'm not making any more of them. So he didn't make any more. But yeah, other descendants. There have been comic books. There was a cartoon called James Bond Jr., which is kind of an odd idea. The movies have been generally rated R back in the day. They were more intense. My friends and I saw a few of them together over the years. View to a Kill being the more famous one because it was filmed out here. There was a large scene taking place in San Francisco in the 80s. Roger Moore, James Bond, and Grace Jones. Yeah, so having another Bond agent that's a black lady is not shocking or original, because in A View to a Kill, Grace Jones is the other agent, the Bond girl / agent in that one, and so that's not shocking. It was 30 years ago, so 30 years ago there was, yeah. So I don't know why people were all butthurt and complaining about, oh no, it's gonna be all feminist and stuff. Did they not see the Roger Moore era? I guess they didn't. Because in that one he was like, no, it's the early 80s and we should be like, you know, early stuff like that. And then the 90s happened, and the Iron Curtain fell, and they had to change the premise of Bond movies. They've had satellites, viruses, nuclear weapons, a moon base one, a killer shark man with teeth, Mr. Jaw. They had a man with a golden gun, spray painted a lady gold. The Mythbusters said that that's a bad idea, spray painting yourself gold. Didn't say it would kill you, it was just a bad idea. But yeah, don't do that. There have been satellite things. They filmed at Arecibo Array at one point in one of them. I think it was GoldenEye. Yeah, I remember one of my friends, Jim Buffkin, complaining that he never gets hit. And we pointed out to him, we're like, dude, yeah, he never gets hit, but look, right, the G.I. Joe and Rambo, he never gets hit. Bruce Willis in Die Hard, he got hit in the first one, but then all the other ones, he was like indestructible. Got ridiculous. And then Bruce Willis played in G.I. Joe, so there you go. One of the live action ones, yeah. You even want to be there. It's like, come on, let us do it. Anyway, I'm not here to let's do the Cillian version, although Robert Wade is in this James Bond movie. So he's somebody from the On Location era is in this movie. So I haven't heard that name in 20 years. Anyway, that's awesome. Somebody who's in there. I thought it looked a little bit like his stuff, yeah, just a little bit. Oh yeah, so cool. But yeah, so we have. The director was different. Joji Fuginawa. I'm going to mess up that name. Joji Fuginawa, the director. I'm going to mess that up. I probably pronounced it wrong. So we have, yeah, we've had some bizarre. Anyway, let's get into the movie. Bizarre James Bond story arcs. This one concerns a bioweapon, which has been created. This bioweapon is nanobot bioweapon, which apparently targets your DNA and basically destructs you and makes you melt. Kind of like in Star Trek Nemesis, when the Romulan Senate opened the metagenic weapon, and the radiation fried the Vulcan senators, the Romulan senators. Kind of like that. Kind of like the Borg a little bit. But that would have been cool if they became zombies afterward. Zombies. So yeah, it's completely ridiculous. It's yeah, but it's no more ridiculous than the one in which the evil Korean dictator guy tried to become white so he could blow up the demilitarized zone. That was an episode. That was a James Bond movie about that. It's not any sillier than a man with shark teeth, so. Or a guy or the coolest one, the dude with a bowler hat. Yeah, Odd Job from back in the day, and his bowler hat would come off and he'd throw it, and it would have like a knife blade around the inside, so it would and slash stuff. Yeah, that's like old school right there. I think it's in the first one, Dr. No. He was a henchman in Dr. No. But yeah, they often marathon this on TBS. The older movies. Hardly ever do the Lazenby one. Get the 2000s collection. That's the good one. On DVD. Watch it. I think they really released everything on Blu-ray too. But the 2000s collection doesn't include any of the. It's the 2000 and it was the 30th anniversary collection, so it was 20 years ago. So it's gonna have yeah, it's gonna have none of the very few of the, not gonna have any of the Daniel Craig ones. Maybe the first one. That's it. So you have to get all the other Daniel Craig ones after that. Stick it on the end. But yeah, I think they haven't re-released all of them since for the 40th and 50th. But yeah, they yeah. So so yeah, it's sure. So the premise of the movie early on is you have, well, spoilers. Yeah, cool. It was fine. The previews before the movie were kind of boring. There's a Barbra Streisand biopic which takes place when she's in her 20s. It's kind of an odd thing. Some other spy movie. Nothing really interesting to write about for previews. Missed half of them because I was a little late, but I did see the whole movie, James Bond movie. So, yeah, it starts off in this really confusing scene in the snow with this lady spy who is dying apparently, and she's got this kid daughter who is attacked by the assassin who comes in, who's wearing like a mask. I'm not sure who the assassin is supposed to be. He's not anybody I don't think anybody we've met before. Vaguely resembling some of the other Craig era ones. I don't know if he's supposed to be, or if I forgot, or just wasn't interesting, but I think it's connected. Safif is his name or something, and he saves the girl, but then we jump several years later, and James Bond is married, and he's somewhere in, I guess, France or Norway or somewhere. It didn't really say. I guess it's up north somewhere, and he's married, and and there's an attack by Spectre agents at the tomb of Vesper from the last movie, and there's the secret agents are trying to kill him, and he thinks that his wife, he's off the grid. He thinks that his wife betrayed him. And he sends her off on a train instead of cacking her, so that she can go elsewhere. Then there's then 5 years go by. We jump 5 years, and he returns to the fold in Cuba or somewhere like that, or near Cuba, and then in Cuba meets the new 007, who's the black girl. She doesn't become a Bond girl. She gives him a suit. They leave the misogyny kind of out of the story. So that's another thing that makes the right-wingers butthurt, is there isn't any ooh, I'm suave James Bond, I'm going to use you, ha ha. That's not in there. Maybe that upset them. But you know what it is they didn't watch the movie, so they don't know that, yeah, the gags and things in the trailer and stuff are just modern dialogue. There's not anything woke or anything unusual. It's just a James Bond movie done now. You can't do the dialogue of a 60s Roger Moore or 80s Roger Moore James Bond movie, or a 60s Sean Connery James Bond anymore. It won't make sense. It's quaint. I mean, in the 60s, the car chases were obviously done with minimal effort, and like black screen, the green screens with a moving car behind him. He's not driving. Oh yeah, there was a scene where they had listened to one of the Kal Kat videos. Robert, wait. They had listened to one of the Kal Kat videos, and they were like, you know how Kal Kat once in a while says, I'm sure they didn't, but they probably heard it from someone else. Let's just say that. And they're all like, okay, in Hollywood movies and all these James Bond movies, we have Bond in a car, and he's talking while driving, and he's able to talk to the other person like this while driving. And he's like, well, in the movie, they cut to him activating a remote on the car so it's driving itself. And then back to him so he can talk to her. It's like, yeah, somebody did their homework there. It's like, okay, yeah. A remote, beep. Okay, now let's talk. It's like, that'll work. Even if it doesn't make sense, it still works better than having him go. I like that. That worked. The bioweapon, no, stupid. Really dumb. Nanobots technology. Yes, there's an attack at an MI6 facility that's holding the Heracles weapon, because they say Hercules wrong in England, you know, they say Heracles. Or is that the proper way to say it? I don't know. Or maybe Hercules is the wrong way to say it, but it's Heracles. Anyway, it's Hercules. Anyway, Hercules for those uneducated non-Greek people. Heracles. It's a space virus, apparently, that targets using DNA and is able to know what it's attacking immediately upon attacking DNA, and it's stuck on you if you ever get it. Allusions to COVID, but it's not COVID. We have, the evil Russian doctor with a kind of cheesy accent, because there was a neighbor in the theater watching it. He's like, accent? What the heck? This is not a Russian accent. No, yeah, it's not a Russian accent. Not a very good one, anyway. So, I am going to put the computer onto attacking the thing. Are you trying to be German or Russian? Because, yeah, it's a little different. German is more like this. Russian is more like this, you see. Yes, does. Yeah. You know, it's more subtle. You know, Russian is more subtle. German is more gruff, and you see. Think like Klingon or Cardassian, you see. No. Anyway, the Klingon is more gruff and Germanic. Cardassian is more Russian. Yes. Although in the classic Trek, Klingon was actually more Chinese, so they were more subtle Chinese. And the Romulans were the ones that were like, oh yes, we have Russians. Romulan Russians. Yeah, so they changed that. But anyway, for James Bond, though, we have the other. There's a few bantery words between 007, Naomi Bond, I guess is her name in this one, and James Bond. I think they should call her Jamie Bond, but Jamie Bond would have been better. But should have happened at the end. Didn't, but should have done that. That's the one thing they needed at the end of the movie, was her to say that. I'm Jamie Bond. A Bond. Jamie Bond. Shaking notes to that would have nailed it. They would have said, okay, that works. They didn't do that. But yes, License to Kill. So we have Metro Goldwyn Mayer movie. We have so they have to stop the bioweapon from being unleashed. They go to a party where the rich elite guys are in a parody of the rich elite super groups, oligarch groups that run the world, except it's Spectre in this case. And they do the X-Files conspiracy ending, which is a trope. The X-Files conspiracy ending is that 20-some years ago, 25 years ago on the X-Files, they wanted to get to the end of the conspiracy, and they had a 2-part episode where they're going to figure out what the conspiracy is. They couldn't. The writers of the show, Chris Carter and those guys, they couldn't figure out an ending. So basically what they did is they put all of the conspirators in a room and killed them all. And that's kind of what they did here. They put the Spectre guys in a room and killed them all with the space virus. But Bond isn't killed. They switched the virus, which puts the virus in his system too, incidentally. Therefore, that comes up later at the end. They kind of made a plot hole. Because, yeah, they made him impervious to it. Oops. Yeah, spoiler. That's kind of a spoiler. But yes, they made him impervious to it early on, and then the other Spectre people died. And then there was a plot to have the mysterious blonde lady, even though they should have known who she was, they should have been tracking Bond even when he was undercover, and they should have known that the blonde lady was his ex-wife, like, immediately. But apparently MI6, even though it's super incredible and has technology and that's ridiculously powerful, and the one Blofeld is a bionic eye and all that, and they took that out and they scanned it and they see where he's going, and he's using his evil eye to live around. Yeah, because earlier they say that he's just crazy and he's pretending, but Then after the meeting, they find out that he was using his eye to transmit information, so he's not crazy. But they should have known that too. Apparently MI6 is not very well organized. They do establish in the story, though, that the CIA people, including the two bad guys in the the one that gets killed when Bond goes to try and rescue him, one of them gets killed. I won't give it away. You have to find out. On a boat. They get trapped on a boat in Cuba for that one. But yeah, there's I'm going all over the place because yeah. Yeah, so we have him going back to thing, and we have they should have known who the lady was immediately. She's using her own real name. They should have known what she was, that she was a former Spectre daughter or something related to Spectre, which means that the virus should go after her, because they went after all the other Spectre people, and if she's related to Spectre, or was Blowfiend making that up? And the other guy, she's related to the other guy who shows up later, the creepy dude with the melted face, who shows up later and shows her the memory box with the face mask in it. Giving you all kinds of spoilers. But out of sequence. Yeah, and then they have to go to a disputed island and fight there too. There's a lot of car chases, very loud. A lot of gun battles, very loud. There's 2 or 3 car chases beginning. There's a really intense car chase through the streets of Norway somewhere in the very beginning. Very similar to 2 of his other movies. He likes doing his car chase. The scene with the machine gun car is the end of the chase from the Norway chase. That's where that ends. The machine guns coming out, which they stole from Roger Moore Bond, I believe. Yeah, one of those. One of those. A lot of View to a Kill vibes in there. Yeah, some other ones too. Oh, another thing that they like the World Order thing. Maybe the alt-right was upset and butthurt about the oligarchical evil Spectre guys who were like their version of the deep state getting killed. Maybe that's what made them pissed off. But I don't think they actually watched James Bond, because if they did, they watched the show, the actual series, they would realize it evolved over time, and that the oligarchs are always the bad guys. The evil organization that's in the background, that's not like Cobra and G.I. Joe, they're always supposed to be the bad guys. Yeah, the MI6 are supposed to be the good guys. And the FBI, whatever. So yeah, it's like they always do that. That's not any different. It's always some evil mastermind who wants to take over the world and has an ice palace or something. Or it's always a silo or a moon base or something. The secret mountain in the Himalayas or something. Missile silo island in this case that they later blow up. With viruses all over it and evil plants that kill people. There's the lady, the blonde lady who's the ex-wife is hiding a daughter. Claims that the daughter isn't Bond's. It obviously is. They try to escape. They try to escape from... She goes back to her own family house from the beginning. Which, she tries to do that. And it's like, okay, you just kind of led all the bad guys to you. Including the evil CIA guy that turned on them. Then you go off to the moors and the swamps somewhere. There's moors. Oh, who knew? Also, you have another car chase with SUVs flying over cars and doing acrobatics because, like, apparently a large dirt road that is on a narrow stretch completely throws off other SUVs and they fly off into... Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Defying gravity, you got these things. They should make more James Bond video games because it is like a video game. But yeah, so you have ridiculous machine gun and regular gun battles, and over to bullets shooting out that make more noise than the missiles that blew up the island in the end. Like boom boom boom. Lots of. There's a stairway battle in the end in the island, where it's just these constantly droning, like boom 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 boom, where Stairway. Let's say, like, wouldn't they be completely deaf after that? Really hear anything? Also, with all those bullets ricocheting everywhere, James Bond didn't get a scratch. Come on. Come on. But yeah, the coronavirus. Yeah, whatever. It wasn't the coronavirus. But anyway, so they get to the end, and they're basically they get to the end. They're basically they get to this. They eventually go to this island. I'm skipping it. You go to the island that's in disputed waters off the coast of Japan, and there's this evil bad guy, toxic lord dude. It's the guy that was using the blonde girl, betraying her, basically being like a double agent, trying to get the virus collected to the factory floor of the virus. They had lines from Jurassic Park and Batman in here, including that. They literally stole a line from Jurassic Park 2. This is the factory floor. This isn't just where they were made. This is the factory floor. Oh, it's like they should have known that too. It's like, wait a second. Okay. Evil bad guy. They have a long speech at one point about the nature of oligarchy and all that, and how that's bad. Between Bond and the main bad guy, and because they always have to have a speech where the bad guy explains his plan and how he's going to bring all the ships to the island, and that's a trope too. That's called villain explains it all before getting it. Trope. Yeah, that's a trope, and that's common in all of them. And it would be funny if they just shot the bad guy at the end, like they did back in the day with the Connery ones. They're like, yes, I've explained it all to you, Bond. I'm going to take you out. Oh, no, this is how I'm going to do it. Oh, bang. Oh. Yes, let's go. That'd be anticlimactic. So they don't. That's why they have to have a missiles firing British cluster missiles onto. Strangely enough, 9 minutes went on for 20. Yeah, we had another missile attack that was on for 20. Timer just doesn't seem to want to do what it's doing. The bad guy lets the kid go. And the lady gets out, the kid goes, and they're in this evil toxic fortress thing. And apparently other bad guys melt when they land in the pool. And these other two toxic pools, and then this other pool upstairs on the top of the silo. However, when Bond and the bad guy fight in the pool, he's only infected by the virus because he had the vial that he got from the lady earlier for Bofiend, which he didn't use on him. He didn't have to because he had the virus and it killed him anyways. So... Oh, spoilers. Yeah, this is all full of spoilers. Of course, maybe he's not dead. Maybe they've, who knows with these movies. They could come back in the next one and say, oh, I faked it, or whatever. They do make it look like, they do make it look final for this particular Bond in this story. I won't give that away, but they do make it look like that. I won't give that away. I think some other people already have. But having been through 24 others of these, including the Lazenby one they didn't count, they've done it 4 or 5 other times. So at the end they say Bond will return, and which is why they should have had the stinger. But the plot hole, major plot hole with their plan, a bioweapon that's going to get out and go after certain DNA strands. At one point, the bad guy doctor is cornered by the female James Bond. And he's insulting her, and she's insulting him back. It's kind of in the trailer. He says, I will destroy your whole race, the weapon thing. Right after that, she blows him away. She's like, I'm taking that shit. Boom! She looks like she took him out, she just capped his ass. Because of course she did. But with a British accent. I copped him. Oh, yes. All stately about it. That's what those Kings in the movies are trying to make fun of, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I won't give away all of James Bond. It's just you can go watch it. It's all of the negative hype a year ago based on a trailer is completely ridiculous. That's not the problem with it. The problem with it is a nanobot virus that targets your DNA. Is not impossible in this century. Maybe 200 years from now, maybe they'll have that. But that's just, no, we don't have that technology. We can't do that. We can't even put a spy camera in a bionic eye. What the hell is that? They were probably also annoyed that there was rumors that Q was gay. The scene where Q was gonna have dinner with his paramour, and he's in the. I can give that away. That was a. That scene 2 years ago. Yeah, when they were doing that, they cop out on that one because they don't show it. They don't show anything. He just mentions, "Oh, he'll be here soon," and I was going to have a date with him. Oh, and Bond's on, "No, we have to talk about the bionic eye and the virus and all that stuff." And they're like, "Oh, okay, we're going to leave then. I'm going to steal the champagne." So, "No, don't. I want to save the champagne for when he gets here." Wink. That was it. That literally was that scene. They did not show anything weird. They did not show any gay thing. They just implied his lover was going to come over, and that's it. It's like, wow, all that controversy for some controversy back then for a scene that didn't deliver the goods. Like, if you're going to get the controversy, deliver the goods to go with it. Have the dude show up and go like, "My darling, I've come at last." And a giant close-up of like, and as they break away from their embrace with Bond love music playing in the background. That's how you do it. Just to irritate those people that are butthurt by that. And we're hoping that Q had wanted to do them on their own slash fiction. Because you figure, 60s James Bond was probably a switch hitter. Almost have to be a super spy. To be like, They did kind of imply it in the one with Antonio Banderas in it 6 years ago. Oh yeah, Craig's a little older than me, I think. Just a little bit, yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think he's a little older, a little bit older. But yeah, no, I need to find some 30-something guy to play him in the next one, or the lady. She can come back. Yeah, I can just call it James Bond, but it's a chick, because it's a title. Yeah, a title. We call Jamie Bond. That should have happened. That should have been in there. That should have had the ending be like, "Now my name is Bond, Jamie Bond." But yes, but they didn't do that. They did have a similar fight scene though, which she does kick the scientist guy in the nose, in a similar way to how hit him in the nose, similar way to the Black Widow movie. Black Widow hit the bad guy in the nose. But yeah, similar way, but not for pheromones. Yeah, that's another error because, spoiler, James Bond is infected by the virus when he's trying to escape and set off the silos and prevent the silo from closing again. The silo kept opening. They keep saying it's a World War II building, but it has Russian parts in it, so it's probably more like Cold War, probably like 50s instead. They should have said Cold War bunker building. That would have made more sense. Cold War. Built in the 50s, 10 years after the war. That would have made more sense. Yes. Yeah. And so he gets infected with the other vial thing, and it's like, well, technically he wouldn't be, because the vial is designed to go after the DNA of anyone that isn't him, because in the early scene he was infected with the... Unless they somehow programmed it to go after him, at which point he would have melted. Didn't he? Waited a while to melt, so I think they're going to bring it back. Maybe it just turns him into a zombie. Zombie. Now, James Bond as zombies would be interesting. Not as ridiculous as the last movie, in which a bad guy was drilling holes in his head in his evil fortress after explaining his evil plan, which would have fried his brain. They put the holes in his head in places where it wouldn't have... it wouldn't necessarily have made him go blind or anything, but it would have fucked up his equilibrium. And he wouldn't be able to stand up. So yeah, all the banter from the trailers, that's just a very minor part. She's sassy, but so is Bond, so That's not a problem. So yeah, it's not woke. It's not different. I mean, it's a modern movie. It's set in 2021. It's modern. It's what you got to do. You can't have it be the earlier James Bond, because the earlier one is more messed up. You can't do that. Yeah, you can't have it be like, oh, I'm James Bond. You must take your clothes off now. No, let's have sex. Every port. And then I'm going to go over here and shoot the bad guys. I'm going to get away with it because I'm James Bond. He was kind of a jerk in some of them. Because he's the super spy. Yeah. But yes. That was my review, I guess. It's fine. There have been 24 of them. Technically, there's been 27 of them, but 24. But yes, they keep saying 25. I thought it was 25 a while back, around the time of Skyfall or so. Apparently not. Yeah. It was weird, is there was like a TV series as well that they tried, but a pilot, it failed. Yeah, I don't know what this movie was rated, but it probably was. Thinking it was probably R, but it could be PG-13. And the song is cool. It's by a current pop star. No Time to Die. Yeah, the song is rather winsome and stuff. It works. It's very moody. Goes with a sort of a 90s theme kind of thing. It works for what the movie's about. It's aging Bond and whatever. Daniel Craig doesn't want to do it anymore, I guess. Yeah. The spy games. I suppose they didn't like the saying that their respective governments were not friendly with their others or something. And it was very silly. So, yeah. Huh.